so it's not for kids.
So my kids have a season pass to the Dollar Theater, and last week we saw the Angry Birds movie. Not a good movie.
Yeah, you were like skeeting during the movie. You were like skeeting your crash out.
It was, I wasn't even like really paying full attention, and I missed like the first 20 minutes of it, to be fair. So if somebody comes out here and tells me like, oh, the first 20 minutes are like what makes it, I'm going to lose my shit, because there's no way. What I'm going to talk about actually is the trailer in front of this for the new Angel Productions movie, Animal Farm. So this is Animal Farm as done by, as far as I can tell, like a conservative think tank. All I know is that they're the people that made that movie about like the child trafficking action film. What was it called? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Finding Nemo?
That's really good, but no. Oh, it's called Sound of Freedom. Do you remember this, Sound of Freedom?
These are my favorite things. That one?
No. So they made like this sound, they made Sound of Freedom, which like supports this like idea that there's like these widespread, like child trafficking rings, and like that, that's the only way that they can like get girls on Epstein Island or whatever. And then like these two heroic white guys like save, go outside of the law to like save the day type shit.
Yeah.
Like pile of crap propaganda. But this studio has now been like booking like seemingly bigger and bigger actors, to the point where I'm like, how the fuck are they getting these people in on this? So the Animal Farm is an animated feature film, and obviously it's an adaptation of the George Orwell novel. In it is Seth Rogen, among others. And in the trailer alone, Seth Rogen goes like 3 times just in the trailer. Despite everything, I actually have a weird yearning to see this film.
It's like morbid curiosity.
Exactly. Like I need to know how they are going to reinterpret this nonsense. Is Napoleon going to be Elon Musk? Are they going to make Napoleon Joe Biden? I really, 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 really need to know. If you're going to make an adaptation of Animal Farm, baseline is like reinterpret it for today's stuff.
I think they should do like Animal Farm meets Love Island.
You're gonna have to.
There's no animals, but somehow like the new cast for like a new season of Hunks and Babes reality show, they get marooned on the island for realsies, and they form their it's like Lord of the Flies, but really sexy.
Oh, and they should make it reality TV. So they should adapt a completely different book, but call it Animal Farm, is what you're saying.
I'm just saying, like, the production crew dies in a freak accident, and all these, like, not exactly smart individuals are left to create a society on their own. And then they form a fundamental structure that's quite utopian, but things kind of go awry as external motivations come into play.
That should be the plot of the movie. You're not describing something that actually happens.
Right.
Because at first I thought what you were getting at was that what we should do is get everybody that signs up to perform at a Turning Point convention. We should trick all of them to get onto an airplane and then strand them on a deserted island for real.
No, I meant like the plot of the movie.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was getting a little confused.
I just love the idea of like a beefcake Napoleon.
Yeah, and I think honestly the character of Napoleon, it could be like a sexy guy. God, if the Seth Rogen pig, because I really was not paying enough attention during this trailer. I'm going to go watch it again in a minute. I guess not during the record. But like, it's like if they made the Seth Rogen the Napoleon, I'm going to crash out for real, like before, without even having seen it. Hey, comrades. Hey. We're all comrades. Hey.
I mean, should I even still do my bit? Been 10 minutes.
You can do your bit,
Your bit was kind of just, what's the deal with the new Animal Farm
What's
movie?
the deal?
So my thing is that I'm kind of behind on the edit. I was editing maybe 30 minutes before we got on this call.
Oh, okay.
It just got me thinking, like, the rare moments where we listen to ourselves in the car while we interject talking to each other. It's a thing we do very infrequently and for good reason, because it's super weird. It's not like an out-of-body experience, but it's like very, very creepy.
creepy.
Well, because it feels like doppelgangers or something. It feels like we have like two of us in the car with us. And I'm just like, shut up.
It's literally like that movie Us.
But they don't acknowledge us existing.
Right. Developing a parasocial relationship with myself.
Day 31 of developing a parasocial relationship with myself.
Day 31 of developing a parasocial relationship with myself.
I mean, there are definitely TikTokers that their narcissism levels go up because they like rewatch their own footage, and Instagrammers like, this is like documented stuff.
Oh, really? Kind of makes sense.
Do you think that's creeping into our psyche? You gotta like listen to this funny thing I said. Man, I'm like so funny.
This is actually like a good transition into me thanking our listeners for actually heeding the call and writing those reviews, because my ego is becoming more and more inflated the longer the show goes on and nobody actually tells me the show sucks. Because like even people who don't play board games but are related to Helena have told me that they listen to the show, and I'm like, why? And they're like, it's good banter, you know? And at that point I start to go like, man, I'm just like actually funny. And then like we'll listen back to our own recordings and I'm like cracking up at my jokes. Yeah. Like not what you're saying. I'm cracking up my own stuff. So it's like the ego trip is real, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm confirming it here and now.
I think we need to have like an annual ritual where we like bathe in cold water together and we take turns like slapping each other in the face while saying like mean things to each other so we can like keep the levels down, I guess. We
got to ground ourselves in something. We should go like try something really ambitious that we know we're going to be bad at and like get fucking owned. I should go enroll myself in like a Smash Bros tournament and like get wrecked. Yeah. And then I can be like humbled, you know, be like, I don't have it all.
Yeah. I wrote in lipstick on my mirror, like, you're a little piss baby. So like every morning when I brush my teeth, I can like remind myself.
Bold strategy.
Should we start? Oh, I watched Backrooms. It was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Shelf Stable, an award-nominated podcast celebrating board games that have stood the test of time. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm the other host, Tom Bowers. This week, we're going to make a board game live on air. We're going to make Brass Deal. And by going to make, I mean, I don't know, we might get like a kind of a...
We'll just do something.
What's like the end goal? We'll figure it out in the latter half.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
I think it'll be fun. I think it'll give us some insight into what it's like to try and design a game. But before we do that, did we make sure to say thank you, everybody who has gone out there and written us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify reviews, et cetera, et cetera. Seriously, if you took the time out of your day to stop, pause the show, and write us a review about how funny we are or how not funny we are, whatever star rating you gave us, we appreciate you and we love you. Thank you for giving us that sweet, sweet review.
Very funny reviews coming in about the podcast.
Also, a huge shout out to the person that did what I asked. I really appreciate you for actually copying the body of that other review and putting it in a 5-star review. Perfect job. 10 out of 10. No notes.
All right. You had some updates to the stream, right?
Yes. If you've been following me streaming on Twitch, it's now going to be at 9 a.m.
Mountain Standard Time.
Every Sunday for about 90 minutes at a time. Might still play a little bit of Gloomhaven. I'll be honest, I actually kind of enjoyed the last session of Gloomhaven right around the end. I was starting to see the appeal. But I think I'm going to pivot into some other board game stuff. And this is something you and I both owe the audience a little bit. I think we've told people that the digital implementation of Gloomhaven might be the best way to play it. I no longer agree with that statement.
Yeah, it has its flaws for sure.
I think you should never try to play Gloomhaven on Steam unless you have played it over the board first. That is my new stance on that. So,
all right, games we played. Tom, I got to play Finca from 2009.
I think you've talked about this game before.
I think I have, but I think I played it again recently, so I think we should talk a little bit more.
Okay, I want to hear your thoughts.
This is 2009 Wolfgang Sentker and Ralf Linde, published by Hans im Glück. The reason I want to talk about it again is because we talked a lot about Moncala last week, and Finca has kind of a Moncala mechanic to it. I got to play it again, and I'm just like, this game is really delightful. And I think the thing that sells me on it is the pacing of the game. It's so quick to teach. It's so quick to set up. It's not that quick to set up, but it's so easy to set up.
Right.
And it just kind of like breezes by. I don't even think it's like necessarily a short game. It's about regular Carcassonne length kind of time. But it kind of just like the whole time it's just like boop, 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 boop. You know how you and I really like when we play Mosaic, how it just like breezes around the table? It's that same thing. Like Finca just like moves at a brisk pace where the time it takes to get back to your turn is the time it took you to think about your next turn. And so there's none of those weird interruptions. That's all I had to say about Finca, honestly. Like I think that's something I didn't really emphasize too much last time I talked about it. Game with a Mancala-ish mechanism that it's like the core conceit. And it does exactly the things it should, and it doesn't overbloat itself with things it shouldn't. And most importantly, the pacing. That pacing is like chef's kiss. Finca, 2009.
I think I ought to try this game out sometime.
I think you should.
I think we could do that this weekend, maybe. It's never going to get old. I'm going to talk about a game that I don't have a ton to say about either, and that's Monopoly Express from 1991. I didn't even think this game is that old.
Not even babies. I was a spark in my mother's eye.
Yeah, I was not alive whatsoever. Crazy to think, because I'm old, according to my children. Monopoly Express from 1991, designed by Garrett J. Donner and Michael S. Steer, according to Board Game Geek, and published by Hasbro. This is another adaptation of Monopoly, kind of like Monopoly Deal, a game we famously overglaze. This one is the dice version. So I guess Hasbro was just like doing this with everything. They have Risk Express. I think they might have Life Express. I haven't really looked into this too deeply to be doing this bit.
Just making stuff up.
I'm just making stuff up. They probably got it. Who knows?
They probably got Uno Express. They probably got...
That's Mattel, though.
Oh, that's true. Okay, oops.
So they got these Express games out there. Risk Express famously is designed by Rainer Knizia for some reason. Monopoly Express doesn't have that surprising pedigree attached to it. This might be like the oldest one too. It's a very simple push your luck dice game. It's in the vein of like anything else, like Can't Stop or what have you, or I'd say it compares to Risk Express. I don't know that the strategic depth runs as far as Risk Express does. I think there's a fair amount more player agency going on, but a lot of similar decision making where you have like a couple of dice that have go to jail symbols on them, and you need to avoid rolling those while rolling everything else. And then the other stuff that you're rolling, you can claim basically as properties, and then you're trying to get property sets. And so, you know, you can try and stack your dice toward easier to reach targets, but you score less points, and you try and keep a consistent pattern of scoring, or you go like, you know, all in on Park Place Boardwalk, which I think have like one side each on all the dice. Yeah, just a ton of dice chucking action. Now, where this loses to something like Risk Express overall is that it's mathier. You're actually like adding up the dollar amounts and stuff. There's a frowny face and a happy face in the rule book, like literally just a colon parentheses written into the rule book where it's like, keep rolling to get more money, happy face. But if you roll 3 go to jails, you bust, sad face. And just the fact that they added emoticons at the end of the rules lines is so good. I don't know how more people don't literally do that. Just write your normal 18xx rule book and add in some happy faces, frowny faces. And I'd be like
question mark faces.
I'd find a lot more joy in reading it. Just like confused face, like phases of a turn, and it's just like a face that's like a question mark, like eyebrow raised.
It's the shrug emoji.
Yeah. But really, like at the end of the day, the only reason I'm reviewing this game is because it's kind of a meme of ours to just talk about adaptations of Monopoly. And I'm like, is this better than the original? Well, yeah, easy. Is this better than Monopoly Deal? Not really. Is this even worth playing? No. But it's like about as good as Can't Stop.
It's like an artifact.
Which we've also kind of glazed. And the fact that it's like as old as it is, like I said, very surprising. It,
Dang,
honestly,
you've really dropped off the Can't Stop train. It's like crazy.
Can't Stop is, it's just kind of whatever.
It's not worth playing. It's kind of like Can't Stop.
Well, yeah, like that's kind of what I'm getting at.
It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know. But the Monopoly theme is fun. If you like really love the aesthetic of Monopoly, but you can't get over the tired gameplay, try Monopoly Express. What else can I say? I don't know. That's what I got.
I love how frequently on this pod we talk about the desire to experience the aesthetic of Monopoly. Like that's a thing anybody is looking for.
You know what it is? It's the home ownership of it, right? Like millennials could never actually own a property in real life. Yeah. So the idea that you could do that and you could wear a top hat and a monocle and all of that, it's like that still has its appeal.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, that was Monopoly Express from 91. Tom, we're going to keep with the theme of very mass market and move to a game called Uno from 1971. Have you heard of this one?
Uno? I haven't.
Yeah, it's the one and only Uno.
Let's imagine for a second that there's an audience member listening to this show that's like never played or heard of Uno. How would you describe it to them? Would you describe it as trick taking?
It's a shedding game.
Oh, okay.
Right? I think
yes,
so.
It is. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's designed by Merle Robbins and published by Mattel. You've shat on Uno quite a bit.
Have I?
Yeah, you've definitely in like the meat and potatoes been like, and I wouldn't be caught with a gun to my head playing Uno or anything.
Yeah. I'm always saying that. You got me there. Yeah.
I think that Uno is bad. So let me just start there.
Oh, what?
I think Uno is bad, but I think it gets a little too much heat from the BGG community and Tom included. For starters, it's great with kids. I just saw this experience where my daughter and other kids at the table were playing and they just immediately grokked the game and were having a great experience playing it. I can't say that with a lot of kids games, like even games designed for kids. We definitely have our selection of games that we highly recommend to parents, but there's also a huge swath of games that are specifically targeted for families, targeted for children that end up not resonating. Either they're not good games or they're too heady for children, or like they appeal to gamer sensibilities, but maybe don't go to the core of what makes kids want to come back to them. But what I can say is that my daughter, who has played a lot of board games with me, was like, I really want to play Uno again and again. So that's the first thing. It really resonates with children and oftentimes just with people. The second thing is like, we're like so quick to hate on the lack of agency in Uno when there's like plenty of games that board gamers praise that have like little to no agency.
Right. No foreshadowing here whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it's weird how we like fixate on the lack of agency in Uno when like it's perfectly okay for some games to be more of an activity than they are like a decision space. Uno doesn't sell itself as like a strategic game in any way. So like, I don't know.
Right.
That's where I'm at. Like, obviously it's not a great game. It's not super interesting. It feels bad a lot of the times, but like it's fast, it's approachable, and it really appeals to kids.
The appeal to children, I kind of get where you're coming from, because there are definitely like a lot of games that are at least marketing themselves towards a younger demographic, and they literally just fail to even create fun, fail to create a game that kids can teach other kids, which Uno is, and that is kind of huge if you're a parent. It's, oh my God. Sorry, I'm like triggering myself because I just remembered Toy Story 5 is about to come out. And like, the idea of that movie seems to be like, what if the kid that ended up adopting all of the toys from Toy Story fucking 3 then became an iPad kid, right? And it seems like it's going in this boomer-ass direction. It's going to be talking about like iPad versus toys. And it's like, I shouldn't be dismissive because it is still good. Like Pixar, and like, obviously someone there thought that they had a good idea. Has Pixar fallen off? I don't know if I can answer any of that yet. We'll see when it comes out. The point is that Uno is a way to entertain your kids without iPad, basically, because they can use it to entertain the other kids. And like,
you take this deck of cards.
It's rare for games to be capable of doing that. And so to that end, I can give Uno credit where it's due. And I can make it facetious. I can say like, Uno is such a delightfully dumb game that even stupid children can teach it to other children. That's jokes. Clip that out of context. They can teach it to each other and themselves and have fun playing it. That's great. Uno, even at its best, though, like even if you're playing it drunk while camping or something, it's like it's not that interesting more than anything.
But it's not for you, right? It is interesting to kids.
Yeah, but I think that's why it gets like all the hate that it does is because like, like as adults, like there's better ways to create fun.
But like you don't hear people go like, for me, Animal Upon Animal just doesn't feel like it has enough of a structure. And I don't think that like the end game conditions are particularly fun. Like nobody's saying that shit about Animal Upon Animal, you know? They're all like, oh, Animal Upon Animal, that's great. My kids love it.
So I hear where you're coming from with that. And like, if Uno is like just a game for children, then like yeah, totally.
I think that's what
like
it is.
It's literally on par with any Hobba game in that regard. Sure. The thing about Uno that made me feel like I hate it, because at some point I had your mindset, and it literally was like Tom Vassell was hating on it so hard that I was like, come on, man, it's not that bad. And then I came around almost to his side, and I forget what it was that triggered that. There's still this thing about no one plays Uno by the official rules. And I'm not saying that that's wrong anymore, because like you'd have to be out of your mind to play Uno to 500 points. But the fact that no one does just kind of speaks to maybe how poor of a design it is, right? I don't know. That's the only thing I got, really.
Well, there are other rules that people flub around. Some people play that you keep drawing cards until you get a card that you can play, and that just makes the game go for infinity. The actual rules, you draw one card. If you can play it, but otherwise your turn's over.
One card and fuck you, yeah.
And then other people do this like absolutely batshit thing, which is if you have multiple +2s, you can stack them.
Oh, yeah, the chain of draws. Yeah.
Talk about house rules that were made by a person that is
they were made by literally the Joker.
Suffer.
Yeah.
House rule made by the Joker, stacking +2s and +4s. And then there's like a variant where it's like if the next player has them, then they can defer the drawing to the next person by playing their +2s and +4s, and it like compounds. That is like a pure Joker take. It's like Joker beatboxing times 2 speed. But anyway.
So
I'm not saying that like you get rid of the house rules. Oh my God. Like, it's not like Moncala, right? I think there's something there of like this being a kid's game, but that's the thing. It's strictly a kid's game. Maybe a grandma game, but then you get grandma into Scout or something.
Well, yeah, I'd rather play Hearts with grandma, right? If we're talking about literal 5-year-olds, like Uno is great. Outside of that, I'm not sure that it's cooking.
I'm cool with landing there. There's an Uno from 1971.
Okay, Kenny, well, keeping it on like the fucking train that we're on this week, I guess like other than Finca, like we just played like games for... games with broad appeal, shall we say. Let's put it that way. I played Skyjo from 2015, relatively recent for what it is. This is designed by Alexander Bernhardt and published by Magilano. I hadn't heard of it till we had Nick Bentley on the show, but it's like the blue car syndrome. Like ever since we had him on the show, I see Skyjo in everyone's house, and I'm like, when did people start buying this? And it's because it's suddenly everywhere, it feels like. And finally got a chance to play it. And not only did I play it with you and some of our friends at the Board Game Pub this last weekend, but I actually have played it like 20 times since then in various degrees. It's easy, it's fast, it's approachable, and it's lightweight. So you can take it anywhere, break it out with anyone. Anybody would want to play it. My parents actually had heard of it before I brought it to their house. And it was like friends of theirs were like, yo, we should play Skyjo when you guys come over next time. This was like, I think the thing that they were planning to invite my parents to come do was engage in Skyjo. So it's doing something, and it's basically golf. The game you play with poker cards, the version of golf that I've played is that it's just 9 cards out of the deck, and you can take what's on top of the discard pile, or you can draw what's on the top.
Trying to get the lowest score.
Yeah, you're ultimately trying to bring all your numbers down. This is doing pretty much the exact same thing, but with a special deck and a couple special rules that change some of the decision making a little bit, where basically you create a grid of 12 cards. If a column in your grid is all the same number, you get to eliminate it. Otherwise, it's basically take the top of the discard or take the top of the deck and replace cards in your pile. Try to get the lowest score.
You reviewed a game, or you talked about a game on the pod that was like up number or something. What was that one?
Okay, so this is very similar to a game called Go Low. In Go Low, you only have 4 cards and you swap cards in and out, but I think you can only have 2 of them face up. It's like more of a memory test than the sort of gambling experience that Skyjo creates. That might be a hint as far as what I'm going to say next, but basically Skyjo is like Llama. It's like Uno in a sense, or like Mancala in a way, where it's like, I see why Nick Bentley liked this so much. I see why it has the appeal that it does. Fast paced, creates action. Like it just creates drama intrinsically. It's fun. It feels a little gambly, and you do feel like you get a little bit lucky, but there's enough strategic depth that you're not just sitting there like waiting to do the most obvious thing ever.
I do think something needs to be said for evaluating this game in comparison to golf and other variants, though. So firstly, I think most of these variants are better than golf. And I think the reason why is because they use decks that have more frequent numbers. Like you have more copies of the number. And additionally, you often have like negative numbers. So it's just going to make it more interesting. So I think right off the bat, Skyjo is better than golf. However, I don't think Skyjo is necessarily better than Play 9. Play 9 is kind of like my go-to. The fact that Skyjo has 12 cards out on the board just makes that the rounds longer. The fact that you have 3 rows makes it more difficult to zero out a particular column as opposed to the 2 that you have in Play 9. And then the rule where when you go out, you have to have the lowest score. While it can create tension, it also adds like a whole ton of AP.
AP? I don't know about that.
I mean, just people like going and calculating the scores around the table. It seems like an unnecessary step.
I beg to differ.
In this one, if you mess up and you don't have the lowest score, it like really hurts. And so people are going to like sit there doing the math on whether or not they have the lowest score or not. And then they realize they don't, so they pass, and then the next person does the same thing, and it's just kind of annoying.
I can see why you'd think that, or at least why you can imagine that happening often. And I think it does, but it doesn't come up nearly as much as you'd expect. Well, and good. Even then, like people kind of going out, the fact is like you can go out on such a low score that doubling it like doesn't matter. Like I literally saw a game where someone went out on 3. The lowest score was -1. And so they, ended up scoring 6 for that round. And that's like totally fine. Like, you take a round where you score 6 most of the time. Yeah, I don't know. The more I'm playing it, the more I'm like, it's no perfect player agency. Like it's not one of those games, right? And it's not trying to be.
Right.
And I think what it is trying to be is pretty good at being, which is a variant of golf. I'd have to play 9 again to really get my bearings on this. I'm not sure if I agree with you on Play 9.
I like Play 9 so much more.
The counter side of Play 9 is that you have to do 9 fucking holes in theory.
Well, you don't have to. You can just play like a round. I'm just saying, evaluating it at a round level is like...
I would contend that any of these games should not be evaluated based on what it's like to play a single round. Because I think like the strategic depth of sorts starts to unfold when it becomes a multi-round affair.
You're saying use the Uno rules.
Kinda.
Skyjo has colored numbers. Play 9 has anthropomorphic golf balls with sunglasses, and the ball on the number 2 is dabbing. Case closed. You're lawyered.
Okay, a dabbing golf ball is kind of pog, I'm not gonna lie.
That was Skyjo for 2015.
100 games to play before you die.
It's time to talk about the 100 games that you're required by law to play before you turn 100 years old and die. Game number 76 on that list is Troye, spelled Tro-yes, from 2010.
Are you doing it just to trigger me? Is that...
A little bit. This is designed by Sebastien Dujardin, Javier Giroges, and Alain Orban, and published by Pearl Games. Kenny, why is this one on the list? Can you pronounce all these names for me?
It's Trois.
Troyes. Troyes. Trois.
Trois.
It's like the French word for Troy, like the historic place, right?
Sure.
The Odyssey.
Yeah, no, this is about the city of Troyes in France, I believe.
Which is where they did that
Champagne.
horse thing.
No, Tom, stop. I can't tell if you're being serious or not.
No, now I'm trying to trigger the audience. Yeah.
Okay. So Troyes, designed by Sebastien Dujardin, Xavier Georges, and Alain Orban. This is the same group that did Deus, that you and I really like. So Pearl Games and this collective of designers, they are like a Belgium-based studio. They also did Ginkopolis.
So this is like the good version of Prospero Hall.
I think that this group is characterized by making games that are like very Euro-y, but highly interactive. Mm-hmm. Troyes is a really good example of this. I don't know if you remember playing this, Tom. You and I played it on BGA. Yes. I think like half the time we were like, I don't know what's going on. But we still kind of got to experience a taste of the brutal kind of nature of how you can interact with each other.
Right.
And then since then I was able to experience it a little bit more. And I think this is a really, really solid game. At its core, it's a dice worker placement. So that's part of the reason it's on the list. So part of it is the collective, like the people who worked on it. And part of it is this dice worker placement, which I think is an important representation of the hobby. What really makes this kind of cool is that you roll your dice and they're allegedly your dice, but literally anyone can just bribe to use your workers, which I think is like fascinating. The only other game that really comes to mind where you can do this consistently in a way that's similar is Keyflower. And even then it's kind of a little bit different. It's more like you get other people's workers in between turns. But I just love this idea that like, oh, sick, I got such cool people for this turn. And then somebody goes, no, they're actually mine. I'll pay you some money, but you're not going to get to use those because I get to go first this turn. It's like, it's so infuriating when it happens to you, but it's like so fun when you do it to others. And I just think it makes the game more interesting. I understand that a lot of people want to feel safe when they're playing games. And I understand that this is going to be completely a breach of that expectation when you're playing a Euro. But if you're the kind of person who's like, I wish this game was more interactive, and you're playing like a typical resource conversion, trying to get a bunch of victory points, this is the kind of game for you. It's just got like that sweet spot of having the same feel as those other Euro games, while also having a very in-your-face kind of like, we are very much involved with each other, and we need to keep an eye on what each other is doing.
Yeah, you can't be falling asleep at the wheel during a game of this.
Talking about it makes me want to play it again.
Yeah, it literally looks like medieval tapestry on the box and stuff. I think its artwork is not doing it any favors, but I think I do agree with you as far as like the game feel. You know what? Actually, this company's kind of consistent about that, aren't they? Because it was the same complaint we had about Deus, which is like, it looks like shit. There's some like design considerations that are just, in Deus at least, it's like straight up bad. Yeah. Some of the color choices and things. I really hope that these guys who make these awesome games can work with somebody who like has any kind of an eye for anything and like reprint these in like aesthetically pleasing ways. Cause like these are the games that need to get Kickstarters where they get huge glow ups, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like
I would agree with that.
I'd love to see that.
I very much am on board with the Hans im Glück glow up that they did for Belgrande. And that is like so nice. It's like modernized. I would say it's pretty modest. It's not going all in and doing the crazy stuff like Awakened Realms. They actually just announced that they're doing a similar glow up of St. Petersburg. So I'm really excited about that. Because that's another game that looks like it was made by someone in medieval times.
In my mind, it's like it's a sensible, sustainable, like you could keep printing it for a long time. You could print a lot of it. So everybody who wants this game is going to be able to get a hold of their own copy. Yeah. And it's just going to look correct. It's going to be pleasing to the eyes. It's not going to have like fundamental design mistakes. Get the typos out of here. Like just
I get what you're saying.
Do it perfect.
Make it perfect. We will not settle for anything else.
Don't fuck this up.
That was toi.
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 Okay, Kenny, it's time to fucking lock in. It's time to buckle down. It's time to get serious and stop going on tangents, because it's time for the main topic of this week's episode. It's time for the real meat and potatoes, the part of the show that people tune in and skip directly to, the part of the show that people leave us the reviews on. And that's the main topic. This week, that topic is the making of brass deal.
Oh, wow.
Okay. What is the concept here? What did you envision when you wrote this episode topic down?
You've been talking about making brass steel. First of all, I'm curious what your vision for it is. Mm-hmm. What even you mean when you say that? And I'm sure the listeners are curious too. And then I don't think we design it here, but I think we can kind of set some expectations around it. We can maybe, crowdsource, the audience can be like, no, that's bad. Or oh, actually, that sounds really cool. You and I, we wanted to sit down and actually do this, but we keep pushing it off. What if we force ourselves to do it and just record it,
Yeah, we just said, fuck it. Let's do it live. I'll write it myself.
What was your thinking so far? What do you have in your head?
The first idea I had was what is the core vibe of brass? What is it that makes brass so delicious in terms of gameplay? Why is it that we keep coming back to this game? We keep saying God, it's so good. And not just us, but literally everybody says this about brass. I don't know anybody who complains about brass or doesn't like it.
Yeah, everybody except losers.
Losers. What are the core ideas? And basically it's how can we boil the essence of brass down into something that I can play in 20 minutes with average folk, and it comes in a deck of cards and almost nothing, ideally nothing else. But I might be willing to put a couple of cardboard tokens in there. So the core concepts, right? It's how do we boil the essence down? How do we extract the essence of brass? What would you define as the essence of brass? Mm-hmm.
Well, the essence of deal, not the essence of brass.
Maybe we should start there, because it's when you hear brass steel, you think it's the essences of both games being smashed together.
Well, that's the thing. Case, I think we should err more on the side of brass, the card game, and just have deal as a funny way of describing that versus trying to capture the essence of Monopoly deal.
Right.
I don't know if you're in the same spot. I'm kind of let's have the essence of brass. Let's not even touch Monopoly deal.
Because what I think is important about making it deal is that it's short. Because I think that's fair. Castles of Burgundy, the card game, is a card game that is so highly accurate to adapting the original board game that it almost isn't a very fun card game unless you're a huge Castles head. And there's no shade, because I think I'd enjoy playing Castles, the card game, and I like the fact that you can get 90% of Castles out of the cards. But what I want Brass Deal to be is some of the essences of brass, but it plays in less than an hour. Anything over 60 minutes long, we failed.
So plays in less than an hour, and then I would say mostly cards. It might be only cards.
Try to keep it 100% cards, but
I'm trying to figure out how you do an economy
and
resources. So let's say mostly cards for now.
Sure.
But I think the minimalism is another aspect for sure. We're not going to want a whole board and tracks and things like that. That just kind of doesn't feel like a deal game at that point.
Right. I want a small box, and I don't want it to spread too much across the table. I think it'd be really sweet if you could play it theoretically with other people that you were sitting right next to, so that in the best case scenario, we are playing this on the plane to Philadelphia. Right.
Okay. Concepts from brass. I think a core thing of brass is leveraging each other's stuff.
Okay.
When I think brass, the first and foremost thing that I think makes brass iconic is oh, you're using my coal. I wanted to use that coal. Hey, I'm using your coal. But then I get to flip this, and then I get my econ boosted. Joke's on you. I'll start this other coal over here. That is the most brass thing about brass.
Right.
So having like a vested interest in using each other's things, and then also wanting to use your own stuff, but then it getting used by someone before you get a chance, and then still feeling like you get a benefit when it gets used up, kind of thing, and almost encouraging that behavior in some cases.
I think it's great that that we're collaborating on this, because that already is not something that I had necessarily put to mind foremost. I agree with you that I think it's like a big part of what makes brass really fun is that like there is almost like a take that interactive aspect to it, but never to the point where you feel like you're out of the game as a result, or like if you are, it's because
like
you really went all in on something.
Yeah,
exactly.
It reminds me of Hansa when you push people, or Terra Mystica when you like build next to someone.
Yeah. So yeah, keeping that interaction is good. I think that really lends itself to it still carrying on some of the dealness.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
The Monopoly dealness.
What did you have? What are some core concepts of brass?
The core idea that I kept thinking about was the multi-use cards and route laying. That like every card in your hand can be either a building or a connection, basically. I think is like what I was landing on. I really wanted it to like either it lets you connect one point to another, or it lets you put resources on the board, generate some.
I like that because I think that's something that's easily translatable to a deal version. The route laying is tricky because I think it's going to have to be abstracted to a certain extent, because otherwise we're going to run into problems with creating a topographical map via randomized cards.
Right. So I think I had an idea for that, sort of, which is to actually take the property sets concept from Monopoly Deal.
Okay.
Right. So it's like when you have like a purple location, you can draw another location that is also purple. It's like those can connect to each other. Yeah. Right. Or you can get like a purple orange. And it's like, as long as like your stack of cards is like purple into purple orange, into orange red, into red. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's how you can keep routes while not having it spread all over the table and just end up being a board game. It
abstracts it, but you're still kind of striving to have some kind of like certain locations and things like that.
So yeah, that's mostly what I had come up with as far as like fixing that problem. And I think that there's something there. I think
there's something there. I mean, the shape is already starting to form, right? So you have like a single deck of cards. This is just me spitballing. I'm not like solidifying things, but you have a single deck of cards. Everybody gets like a hand. And then you have to figure out, do I use these cards as part of my properties, or do I use them for the economic benefit? If people play them as an economic benefit, other people can leverage those economics. And if they do, you know, they flip, and then you get whatever sort of like income, however that's represented. Meanwhile, you're trying to build collections of the colored properties that are in the same color. And when you do that, you're going to score more points. Question, do we do the like middle of the game things reset thing? How important is that to the game?
I don't think that part is all that critical.
I agree. Really. And I think it would be really hard to somehow incorporate that in a way that doesn't feel trite.
And it would also be unlikely to keep the game length down to what we're aiming towards. So
yeah, we can tell people, if you want to experience that, then just play a second game.
Yeah, exactly. Play it again. Maybe at the back of the rule book, there's like a variant for like brass heads. That's like, if you really love this, like, you know, just play 2 games in a row, but here's how one goes into the other or something. I don't know.
All right. So we have the building of industries, the flipping. We could probably work sell into that. We have the network. What about developing? Developing feels like something that can be left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I don't think developing really needs to be in action.
I don't think the brass heads are going to cry if there's no form of development in the game. Or maybe it can take a different shape.
Imagine this, if you will. If you had square cards, but every edge of the card was a color and an industry type. Yeah. Then let's say that like the end result is that a player has in front of them a tableau. And so I'm just going to be saying like half made up
That's fine.
Names from the United Kingdom or whatever, but let's just imagine like Manchester, and then there's Bolton. It's like every edge of the card is Manchester colored, so I think it's purple, right?
Yeah.
And then let's imagine Bolton, which is yellow, and every edge of the card is yellow. But you have, let's say Bolton has like one edge, the cotton production, and the other edge is the iron production. The other two edges are actually purple-yellow hybrids. And the purple-yellow hybrids is the network version, right? So that would be your connecting Manchester, which is purple, to a potential future yellow card, maybe.
Yeah.
Yellow edge Bolton has like the two different production options. And let's just say that the requirements for those productions are that you need to flip over someone's coal to build the cotton. So I don't know how we maintain like the idea that like your network has to be connected to other players necessarily, but let's say that like you can't play the cotton face of Bolton unless it is connected, quote unquote, to unspent coal. And unspent coal is just another player's card that hasn't been flipped yet. Mm-hmm. You can end up flipping your own card, or you could flip another player's card.
I like that.
Is maybe the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes, like, you're saying this stuff and like it makes sense to me, which is kind of wild because it's so abstracted. But I'm seeing what you're dishing, and maybe the audience is seeing it too.
Yeah, hopefully they're getting some visual sense out of this. I don't know. Like, I almost wonder if like that on its own is like enough. Maybe we should try it out from there and see if it's like fun at all. Because like it might just be like fun enough to be like flipping each other's cards, like knowing that the flipped card is like what scores.
Yeah.
And so stuff that's harder to flip is like worth more. Because like flipping coal and iron should be like relatively easy.
You don't think we should have like an economic system in it? Because I think you could easily add economics into it, and it would help to balance the individual things. I just imagine the cards having stacks of iron clays on them, and the iron clays simultaneously represent the resources and money. You can have a card that's generating coal, and it has like 4 iron clays on it. That means there's 4 coal left. And then when you spend that, then you flip the card. But similarly, you have money in front of you. You're using the same. So like you're still maintaining like the minimal vibe of the game via like a singular resource token.
Maybe, but I suppose like...
You're saying you don't even need it.
I think we could always complicate the game if we found that
it wasn't
what
fun.
We were starting with. Yeah, it wasn't very interesting, wasn't very fun.
I see what you're saying. You're saying like start without it, and if we need it, we can add it in, which is generally my policy anyway. So.
And on top of that, I think there's the possibility that restraint, right, breeds creativity in the sense that we could focus on trying to make the version of Brass Steel that does not have any non-card pieces and see how far that gets us. And then if we're finding like, no, there's just something missing and like, I don't think cards is going to solve it, then maybe we start to think like, well, sense. How do we like get economic engine in here? The first thought I had when you said economic engine was, well, that can be managed by card density, right? Edge density. How often does iron show up? How often does coal show up, et cetera, right? Yeah. And then,
you know what you could do?
That, go ahead.
You can do the Race for the Galaxy thing where we just like tuck 4 face down cards underneath the coal. Yeah. We don't even need the chips.
I had that thought at one point, but I don't know if I don't even know if it matters that much to like have coal be something that you can flip over that many times. The other, I guess, potential concept, right? Let's say coal and iron cards. Maybe this is it. So you remember Power Grid, the card game? Yeah. So in that game, the number of resources you have, it depends on which edge is face up.
Right. Oh, so you're rotating them?
Yeah, like what if it's
a very Joe Clipful kind of thing.
Because the other concept you could do, right, is that you could make coal and iron have less overall utility by making it so that 3 of the edges at least are related to, or I guess it'd have to be all the edges in both cases. So it's like all of the edges are related to the number of coal that it has, all of it has to be spent before it can be flipped for points.
The problem is now you have the colored edges and also you're rotating for the resource. So are they to the side if it's like a resource?
No, it's like whatever edge is on top. And also in my mind, the rest of the card is ultimately going to get covered. Now, this would be kind of fiddly in practice, like if you had a coal that was in between some other cards and you had to rotate it.
Yeah, that's
like I could see that being kind of annoying, but I don't know that it's that bad. I'd have to try it.
It sounds like we just have to like try this out.
A little bit.
We have like a pretty good structure here. Is there anything that we're like missing from a higher level? I know you had some notes here about other things that we should be checking.
You know, some of these questions we already answered, right? There's should we prioritize like it being accurate to the experience of brass, or should we prioritize it just being like its own fun game that just has brass vibes? Because Monopoly Deal is its own fun thing that has Monopoly vibes, right?
I think we're doing a disservice if we try to be as accurate as possible. Like, I think it needs to very clearly be derived from brass, but like we're ultimately going to get up our own butt if we try to like make it accurate. Like any good adaptation, we should prioritize what's fun. Think about like Dead Cells, the board game, versus Slay the Spire, the board game. And I know you weren't like too hot, but like I think Slay the Spire captures what was fun about Slay the Spire.
Right.
Whereas like Dead Cells feels like paperwork. I think that's an important thing here. Like we're not going to have Brass, the card game, without some concessions. And like, I think it's important for us to focus on the things that are representative Brass.
We want it to go back to its deal roots.
Yes.
Fundamentally. Yeah. Because if we get too far into the brass roots, we're going to be wondering why we aren't just playing brass instead of designing whatever the fuck this is going to be.
It's like Samurai the card game all over again.
Yeah, maybe kind of basically a light, quick game that is in the brassiverse, if you will. It has potential, has the possibility to be something.
You have like, what level of players should we target? I think this game should definitely be targeted toward gamers, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that you play this with grandma. You know, maybe this is what you play with mom before you show her brass.
Yeah, a brass precursor, right? It readies people's minds for the thrills, the epic highs and lows of brass itself.
You know, we've really made something special when mom says, yeah, brass was interesting, but I'd rather just play your version. That's when you know we've won.
Yeah.
Then we can say, suck it, Martin Wallace.
I've won. Just according to Keikaku. So we print square cards with edges. So you like the edges that it's like cards, you know, the network is matching the colors of the edges, right?
Yeah.
Purple can always connect to another purple, but you need to have a card edge that shows both colors before you can network to the other. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Like in the scenario where the coal mines and the ironworks are like in the power grid card game where they can like spin down.
Yeah.
I wonder if the final edge should actually just be a purple to purple like connection. Like it should always be solid color connection.
Yeah.
Right.
That would make sense. Can I pitch something to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we include one card that's called Deal Breaker.
Right.
The card says like, take all of a property of one color and just move them to your board. That player skips their next turn. And what's another? Eliminate another player from the game. And then in the rule books, it just says like, oh, this card is optional. If you want to play with the like full deal rules included.
Right. Yeah. If you want to play
it's like a meme card.
Brass deal as the designers intended, this card is always included. Otherwise, you know, but it is optional. Feel free to exclude it.
Yeah, it's optional. I think like just that as a joke would be it'd be very much in the spirit of Monopoly Deal, but also it'd be like very much our brand.
Right. And it would be a better joke than putting me in as co-founder in an issue of Senate Magazine.
Yes.
I like the concept of having like a completely bonkers card. I want this maybe more as like the Gen Con promo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have to put that in every box, but I do think when we run our own booth or whatever.
Yeah, because Roxley's definitely going to be cool with that.
We are going to get Gavin Brown on the show, and then we're going to pitch this to him and be like, it's time, Gavin, for brass.
Yeah.
Deal.
Dance for us, Gavin.
I'm not saying that like there's any realistic chance that this like actually gets published, but I think if we put in the work and like designed a game and then we were playing it and we were like, this is genuinely fun. If Roxley is like, no, the brass brand like needs to have the prestige of a big ass train on the cover or a drunk dude laying in the street, and we can't print your silly little card game, then we just switch themes real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
We'll figure out something else that makes some amount of sense, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. I think Roxley would probably...
Yeah.
I feel like they could be open to it.
I've seen some Gavin Brown interviews. He seemed like a chill dude.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you know, that's what I got so far. I don't know if you had like more holes to poke in it, or like if conceptually you're like, how does that work?
I feel like we got something here.
Oh shit.
We gotta like sit down and play test it, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions that get raised as soon as we have something on the table. But like that's how it always goes, you know.
How would we go about printing this? Like for people,
well, we got to test
inspired some people.
We got to test it just us first, and then when it's in a place where it's like actually like.
No, I get that, but like, right, we're talking about square cards, which is like not really.
I don't even think you need the square
store.
cards. I mean, you
don't need
rectangles can line up with each other too. You know.
That's true.
You
just
have to like have a little bit of space.
But do we get blank card? I guess actually, if we just went and got some blank index cards and then cut them,
bro. You know, bro, you're acting like you haven't play tested my games. Like we'll just print, we'll print some cards on paper, 9 cards to a page, cut them out and put them in magic sleeves.
Well, but
you really want them to be square. I'm telling you,
we can do it in rectangle, but I'm saying
square, for the prototype, you do a rectangle, and then like, yeah, if you really want it aesthetically to be squares in the future, we can do it. But like, we got to just get something on paper to test it out.
Fair enough. Mostly my thought was just like, if we did a bunch of index cards, we could literally just color them.
Like, I think that takes more time than auto-populating with like non-deck or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. So wait, what was that resource you just mentioned?
Non-deck?
I've never used it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little steep at the beginning, but it makes sense pretty quickly.
Well, what is it for the audience, bro? I'm trying to get you to explain to the audience.
It's a software where you can import like a CVS or CSV. You can import the entire CVS pharmacy.
Comma separated values. Yeah, you can and CVS pharmacy.
Yeah, you can import a CSV, and based on how you've configured things, it'll go and it'll create like an auto-populated data set of cards. It'll like run that all into your template for cards. And that includes like if you have specific color properties. So if you want the edges to be specific colors, and you can have a column for each colored edge and have the name of that color, and it'll go and populate those. It'll bring in the correct image file. If you reference a specific image location, it'll give you the right properties in each place. And that way, not only do you have something that like gets generated a lot quicker, but if you make any changes to it, you just change the data. You don't actually have to go and create new cards. So it's much more robust. It's not the only one available. It's the most popular one, I would say, but the one that I actually like the most is a kind of being a hipster, it's kind of like an obscure one that's
is it like open source or something? Is that the reason? Or
no, it's just I found the UI to be a little bit more approachable. It is, let me get it, Card Editor. It's just called Card Editor.
It's just called Card Editor.
Yeah. Card Editor Tool by Matt Singer. That's the one I like to use. Very similar approach, where you import a data sheet and then it generates your cards in whatever template you set up. It's a lot more like point and click, so it can be a little fiddly. Like it's less programmery than non-deck.
It's trying to get people away from having to write code, basically, because non-deck it seems like.
Yeah, non-deck has its own language, more or less. It's very CSS akin, CSS adjacent.
Oh, okay. Well, now we know. And I just I wanted you to explain that so that our audience, if they found this episode somewhat inspiring, perhaps, and we're like, man, I should get out there and just make a card game. Why not? Or maybe they're trying to beat us to the race, and they're like, I'm going to make the good version of Brass Steel. I don't know what these guys are talking about. Yeah. You know what? Go for it. I applaud you if you actually are that motivated to steal this from under us. Because at the end of the day, the worst case scenario is that I'm going to end up playing a copy of Brass Deal.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a great time to me.
I want to quickly plug playingcards.io as well. So playingcards.io is not really going to be super helpful when creating the actual cards themselves, but it's a very robust in-browser way of testing card games. It's kind of like, think like Tabletop Simulator, but it's not like ass to load.
Right.
Pretty much anybody can hop on. Should we wrap it up?
You know, like you said, I think that surprisingly went very smoothly.
Yeah.
I think somehow we've ended up designing something that I think is worth at the very least coming up with some printed version of, and just seeing where it takes us from there. And then I suppose we'll have like episode 2 if it turns out we cooked.
There you go.
We'll have to update people on the situation. But that's going to do it. You know, if you're listening to this and you haven't hit that subscribe button already, you're going to want to now to stay tuned to the development of Brass Deal. And we appreciate you for listening this far into the episode. Thanks for coming to our show. Thanks for being here. Thank you especially to our Patreon supporters. You can subscribe to us for free on patreon.com/shelfstablecast. You get our monthly newsletter. That's all free. But of course, if you get any of our paid tiers, you can access the Discord, unedited episodes, and bonus content. Helps us make the show the best thing that you can be listening to and keeping it ad-free. Thank you especially to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus for your cool segue music. And thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song Raw as our opening theme.
Reminder, we have a survey open for episode 100. I'll post the link in the show notes, but we would love to hear what are your favorite moments from the first 99 episodes. You know, what are our hottest takes, things like that. Please fill it out real quick. Just takes a few seconds. What were your thoughts about this week's topic? You know, is this Brass Deal game that we're talking about cooked? Is it cooking? Are you excited to play it? What will your approach be to a version of this that is minimal with cards? You can also reach directly at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. And if you're loving the cast, share with a friend, write a review, or just hit any thumbs up button you see, even if it's unrelated to the podcast. Tom, we got a guest on next week.
Oh, boy.
Gotta wait for that. Who it is, we'll never tell. But yeah.
We'll never tell.
Bye, everyone.
I'll see you then next week. Special guest. Bye.
Bye.